Yeah, I'm Wayne Hemingway. Started Red or Dead back with Mrs. Hemingway back in 1980. Sold that in the late 90s, and since then I've been running this thing called Hemingway Design, which does all sorts of design, from big housing developments to radios to sheds. We haven't got anything that we think we can improve. So we started just by chance, really. I was doing a degree in geography and town planning. Geraldine had left school at 15 with no qualifications. We'd never any idea that we could be entrepreneurs or designers. But a chance, like most people get a chance in their life, and you're either in a position to take it or you've got the mindset to take it or you haven't. And we had run totally out of money, and the rent was due on our flat on the Monday, and it was a Thursday. We were wondering what to do. And we'd heard that Camden Market was just getting going. So we heard that you had to turn up down there at crack of dawn on a Saturday morning. We went out to the local pound store, bought a couple of those Chinese checked laundry bags for 50p each, swiftly loaded them with a collection of... I'd always worn second-hand clothes, and I'd got far too many in my wardrobe, so I emptied those into one bag. Geraldine had always been able to make clothes, and she'd got a wardrobe full of clothes that she'd made for herself, that some of it she didn't wear anymore. Put that into another bag. Got on the tube on the Saturday morning down to Camden. The rent was £6. We took 100 and odd quid, came back on the Sunday, similar thing, and that was a start. And we worked on Camden for a decade, but literally within a few weeks of starting Camden, Geraldine took a stall in this fantastic indoor market called Kensington Market on Kensington High Street. Every town should have one. Where for 12 quid a week she was able to take a decent sized space, where she took a sewing machine down there. She bought some fabric on Blackburn Market, made 8 items of clothing, didn't have a label in it or anything. A few weeks later got spotted by Macy's New York, who promptly placed an order. My mum left her job working in a pub. 2 of Geraldine's sisters left their jobs as secretaries, set up a little production unit in Blackburn. We had to come up with a label. We came up with the name Red or Dead. And that was it, and built it into a very big operation with shops all around the world. Sold it for a lot of £1 million 18 years after we started it, and I think that's I think since the 80s the chance of a young startup company like we were being able to have a go like that without any borrowings, and with what I considered Camden and Kensington and Affleck's Palace in Manchester where we opened, and the Royal Exchange in Manchester, and Quiggins in Liverpool, where all these places existed, and they were easy in, easy out places where anybody could have a go, and you didn't need rich parents, you didn't need qualifications, you didn't have to worry about greedy landlords and pension fund owners of shops. You just could go in, and if it didn't work, it didn't work, and if it did, off you went. Bob's your uncle. You had a chance to start a business, and I think we need to bring that back. The internet hasn't replaced that. The internet's great, but it hasn't replaced the fact of young people being able to have a go. We've seen our streets, our high streets, become homogenised, and there's the famous phrase "Clone Town Britain" is a recognisable thing in most of our towns and cities. The chances to start off on a cheap rent somewhere, even today in this recession, are not easy, and so. We need to be making spaces available for young people to start, and I came up with the idea of this thing called Starter for 10 on Gateshead High Street, which Gateshead High Street has suffered a lot in the last decade, and the Metro Centre has sucked the life out of it. The Metro Centre is very successful for Gateshead, but it's had a negative effect on parts of it. You can walk across the bridge to the wonderful Grey Street in Newcastle, and so Gateshead High Street hasn't done well, and I came up with the idea, Gateshead is a very creative town. It's got a creative community, a good college. It's got great things going on the waterfront. Why don't we, those empty shops on the high street, why don't we gift them to young creative businesses, let them do guerrilla shop fits, they fit it out themselves, but give it rent free, rates free, and let people have a go like me and Geraldine did. And that starts, that's happening over the next few months. It kicks in, and the Gateshead Council have been brilliant about it. We're doing another similar project called KioskKiosk, where we've designed these kiosks that just can go onto public spaces anywhere in the world, and they look creative, and they're built for a creative business, and they're cheap to manufacture, like pop-up shops. And the first one of those is kind of sponsored by Boris Johnson and the GLA, and goes outside on the South Bank outside More London from the I think the 30th of June or the 2nd of July, and that's going to have a series of all creative startups being able to put themselves in front of millions of people who walk past that spot during summer. So at least we're trying to do something about it. When we started our business, our first business, in the teeth of a recession that people are still saying is deeper and a lot more severe than today's recession is, but today's may reach what it was like in the late 70s, early 80s, but at the moment it isn't that deep. But I've always said, and I've always strongly believed, that a recession can be a great time to start a business. Number one, you need less money. We've never borrowed a penny, and we didn't have any penny when we didn't have a penny when we started Red or Dead. But there was an opportunity there because, number one, rents usually become more affordable. Usually there's more space. Like now, Woolworths and all those brands have disappeared, and landlords will want to start to give these spaces away at a very cheap rent, and there will be opportunities. So, but also the companies that aren't very good, the CRAP companies, start fading away, and people sometimes they fade away at a pace that keeps up with people's spending power. So that people might be spending less, but they've got less to spend it on because a lot of companies and shops have closed, and the market starts to become more open to new ideas. And also, people in a recession, people stop spending money on rubbish. They start to be more discriminating about how they spend money. So if you've got an idea, it can be even more powerful in a downturn because it could be a new idea that excites people. So at the moment, we've never been so busy as we are right now. For simple things like we decided we'd design sheds because we knew that people weren't moving houses. It's not rocket science to know that the housing market's collapsed a bit and people are staying put, but they still have got things to store. They might be starting a business. In every recession you get people who either start a second business. It might just be an eBay shop, or it might be that they've been made redundant or put on a short week, so they start a business from home. So how can we sort that? Well, we could make a shed that could be converted into a home office in your garden. So you start doing things like that. There's just a constant set of things that we keep coming up with. We're thinking, well, that's a great idea to do in a recession. And you shouldn't be frightened to start at this time. You should think, yeah, maybe this is the time to start. Well, to get something started, the number one thing you need is an idea. But ideas are 10 a penny, and lots of us can come up with ideas. It's the stage of getting it through to an idea that's realised is the hardest thing. And to do that, you need help. The best thing you can ever be is a decent person and that people want to join in with you, because you're going to need to have a combination of friends in, whether they're retailers, whether they're you're only as good as the people who make your product for you or deliver your idea. So you've got to be somebody who can get on with manufacturers, somebody who a manufacturer wants to succeed, who they want you to succeed because they think that's a nice person. So the best thing you can be is a decent person, and also one that understands that it's a big network of people who can benefit if you do well. The manufacturer benefits, the people who are selling it, whether that's the retailer. The person who's doing your accounts, if there's a bank involved, the bank manager. So all of those people have got to feel empowered by what you do, and that's just human values. So I've always said that the best thing you can have is good human values. But then but a good human value as well is to be able to work your backside off. There's no point thinking that you can get an idea off the ground from 9 to 5 and then go clubbing every night, or sitting in the pub, or watching Hollyoaks, or sitting at your computer game playing some shoot 'em up game. It's not like that. It really is. If you're going to get an idea off the ground, it needs a passion, and that passion has got to lend itself to you putting everything in. And if you don't, you're very lucky if you can make a new idea work without the sacrifice of time. And if you can't sacrifice that time, then you're probably not. It's probably not the right thing. You're not in the right thing.